In this video, I'm going to show you how to upgrade your window trim. And we're going to do it right now. I'm in the process of remodeling this room, and one of the things that I'm doing is replacing this window trim. And I'm going to upgrade it. This is an upgrade in my opinion. We really like this trim, so that's what we're going to replace it with. This video will apply to you if you want to build a sill, or if you want to picture frame this, which is just this all the way around. I'm not going to do that. I am going to replace the sill. Basically, it's going to be just like this, except with new trim. So if you take a look, this really isn't in terrible shape. I mean, the sill definitely has seen better days, and it's a little loose. You have gaps here. Obviously, this is stained wood. We're gonna go with new painted white. I could paint this stuff, patch all this, but we like the look of this. So I'm gonna take all this trim off. Should be pretty easy. And take this sill out, and then this apron, and we're gonna start fresh. The extension jamb is in good shape, so we're gonna leave that, but we'll start by removing all of the existing trim. Before removing the trim, what I like to do, especially if it's caulked into the wall, is take a utility blade and just run it along here. In my case, it's really not that important because this is stained. It's not caulked in here, but just to show you, I would do that all the way around, because if you don't, when you try and take the trim off, and if there's caulking or paint stuck to this and you rip it off, you could actually tear the paint and the drywall paper, and then you'd have to fix that. So let's avoid that. I'm gonna start at the bottom here. I'm gonna use my handy trim removal tool. This will help to not ruin the wall. If you don't have one of these, you could go in here and try and pry this way so you don't mess up the jamb here. We'll try this. As I said, it should be pretty easy to remove. Now the same thing with the sill. You might want to cut along the edges here so you don't mess this up. Just gonna hammer this up a little bit. Should be nailed down. And the apron. And then I'm gonna go around and take out any nails that are left, either in the wall or the trim. And then I'm gonna take a 5-in-1 or a scraper and go along and just get rid of this. That could be caulking. You just want to make this flat. Luckily, the new trim is bigger than the old trim, but this is still good practice so your trim doesn't get bumped out. Since I have two windows, I'll do the same thing on this side. This room is going to be my wife's office or library, whatever you want to call it. It's her room, and she wants wallpaper. So let's give her wallpaper. That didn't work. There we go. And now that the wallpaper's done, we can do the window trim. And actually, I've already done it over here. I just wanted to show you, before we get into it, what it's gonna look like. And I love this look. And all of this is all personal preference. So this is what I prefer, and I'm gonna show you exactly how I did it on this window. If you're watching this video, you're probably not a professional trim carpenter. If you are, thanks for watching, but I am gonna try and break this down and make it as easy as possible so anyone can do this. So bear with me, I'm gonna go nice and slow, step by step. I like to think of this window trim as 3 different parts. The first being the sill, then the trim around it, and then what's called the apron, the piece of trim that goes underneath. So the first one, the sill. So just think of it as one piece of pine that goes in here, sits right here, and overhangs. And I can take measurements from my other window. Obviously, I want to match that, but I want to show you, if you just have one window, how to do it without matching. Obviously, go around your house. If you're keeping the same trim, try and match that. But here's how you would do it if you're starting from scratch like this. Well, the first thing I want to do is figure out where my trim is going here. And I am going to start it about maybe 1/4 of an inch right here. You could measure that all the way around, or to make it easy, I have my combination square set right there, right at 1/4 inch. So that is where the trim is going to go. So next, I'm going to take my trim, whatever trim you're using. Again, it's all preference, but I can hold it right here, and then I can mark this side right about where the sill is going to sit. So I have my mark right here, and I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. This side, same thing, make a line, hold my trim. This is what's called a reveal, from this piece to this piece. This measurement, make a line right there. So if I made the sill right to that line, it would go straight down like this, and I don't want that. I want to have an overhang this way, and my overhang happens to be 7/8 of an inch. I'll hold my tape like this. You can hold it wherever you want. This is just to get the measurement, and 7/8 is right here. So I'll make a light pencil mark, and then the same thing on the other side. So now I can take my tape measure and hold my tape to that mark and measure to this mark over here and get a measurement. It looks like 40.5. So that should be the length of our sill. And I'm gonna double check that against the window I already did, but there's gonna be some minor variations in here. The window might not be exactly the same as that one. As long as that overhang is the same, it'll match. Now this one's 41.25, so if I do 41 3/8, it'll be fine. So we have our length measurement, and I'm gonna write that down. This is my original measurement for that one, 41 3/8. Now we need the width. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my piece of trim, and I'm gonna flip it like this. Basically, whatever you want as an overhang, that's just what you're gonna add to this measurement here. So you go to the sash itself, take that measurement, and add whatever you want here. In my case, I want to match the other one, so I'm going to make it 4.5 inches. So I already have that written down from the last window, 4.5 inches. And I'm not going to worry about thinking about all this that I got to cut out. All I want to do is cut a sill, or basically a piece of 3/4 pine, at 41 3/8 by 4.5 inches. I'm going to cut this to length first. This is a 1x8 pre-primed piece of pine, and I'm going to square an end first. 41 3/8. Over to my table saw. Raise this blade up just past, like that. Set this to 4.5. Then you want to take a look at your pine. This and this aren't that great, but maybe I'll router this edge, because right here isn't great either. So I'll rip this one off because that's worse. So now I'm going to take my sill and hold it to those lines, the furthest ones. Make sure they match up. And then I'm just gonna mark right here. I want this to be pretty tight, but it doesn't have to be super, super tight. Do the same thing on this side. So I'm gonna put my sill right here, the same way that it's gonna go in here. And then I'm gonna hold my square on the wall, and I'm gonna measure to the window. So that's 2 3/4. And then I'll come down here and make a mark 2 3/4. I'll mark that like that, and then mark it like this. And that is going to be the edge of the wall. And then this one right here, I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna cut this out and then push it in and mark it so it's a nice tight fit. Do this on the other side. And then I'll take a nice sharp fine tooth blade on my jigsaw, and I've done some tape here to protect the wood, and we'll cut this. I'm going to hold this up at an angle, kind of like this, and go in all the way like that, and make sure I'm tight to the wall and tight to the window here. That looks good. Do the same thing over here. Perfect. And of course, make sure my length here is good. These look okay, a little more of a gap than I wanted, but that's okay. Kind of split the difference. And then that mark looks pretty good. This is why I didn't want to mark it before. It tends to move around a little bit. And then you can actually lift it up just like we did before, like that. And mark that. And the same on this side. And we can cut these out. We can double check, make sure we're good. So I'm okay with that cut. I'm fine with this little gap here. Right here, this gap, I'm not a huge fan of. And then on this side, same thing. And I think what's going on is it's tight right here to the window and tight right here. But right here in the middle, there's a little bit of a gap. I want a gap here because I want the window to function properly. So what I think I'm gonna do is just rip this whole thing. I'm gonna fine tune this a little bit. You don't have to do this if you are happy with the results. But I'm gonna take off about that much right there, but that also means I need to take off about the same right here. This is tight here, but it's not here. So I will go like this, that same measurement to nothing right here. So kind of scribe this. Whatever that rip measurement is, same thing here. And then same, there's a gap here, but this gap is even. And I think this is just sticking out a little bit. So this side might be good. So I can either chisel this out, make a line wherever it's going to go, chisel that out, or I can do something like this. Cut that out of it. And you don't have to do this, by the way. This is just me trying to make it as good as I possibly can. There's always caulking, but it's up to you. Check that again. That side looks good. That side looks good. So I have my piece set up here. I'm gonna round this edge over like the other one is, and I'm gonna use my router. And all I wanna do is make sure that it's gonna work. So I have an example piece of pine here. I have this edge routed, and then I'm gonna do the other edge. You want it to be nice and even round over. So let's see if this is gonna work. That looks pretty good. And after a little sanding, there's a little bit of a line left here. But after you sand it, like this, should have a nice round edge. Now, really what I should have done is left this, routed it first, and then cut it out, because right here it could get tricky. You just, when you do the router, you don't want to put pressure on it and then go in this way so this gets rounded. You want to go straight so you have a nice routed edge. We'll check it one more time. That's gonna be nice. Got a nice round over, nice and tight to the wall. Looking good. All right, now I'm gonna clean all this up, make sure my sill is gonna sit flat. And now we're actually gonna install this. So I'm gonna put it like this, and I'm gonna use a variety of shims to shim this up and make it level. I'm gonna be gentle with it. So I'm gonna use a 2-foot level like this and a little baby level to get it good like this. And I can nail it in place. One in the back, one in the front. Now I'll take a 4-foot level like this in case the middle is bowed down, which actually it is. So I'll just shim that up so that gap disappears. Now would be a good time if you wanted to add some insulation here, you could. And I'm just gonna go along and cut all these shims. The window sill is all set, so the next step is the actual window casing. In my particular circumstance, I am going to be painting this stained and polyed trim or jam extension right here. So what I'm going to do is take this off and I'm going to sand that all up and prep that for painting before I put this trim on, because I think it's going to be easier. Now I'm going to take my combination square with that same 1/4 inch measurement, and I'm gonna make marks all the way around here. So if you look right here, this is the only problem that I have really with using the existing extension jam or jam extension. This drywall is a little sticking past this a little bit. So what I could do is take a knife and kind of cut this out and hammer that drywall in, and I should be able to tilt the trim in, but I'd rather not do that, to be honest with you, and make a huge mess. So what I'm gonna try and do, because this is split, I'm gonna try and take a 5-in-1 and stick it up here and try and get both of these pieces, or get this behind both of those pieces. Get a hammer. Might be able to just slightly pull this out, and then I'll be able to hide that gap back here, and you'll never see it. So that is much better. I could even put a couple nails in that if I wanted to, but that I think is gonna work for me. You can do this however you want to, but all I'm gonna do is take measurements. So I'm gonna do one piece at a time, put my tape down here, right in front of that jam, and then measure up to to where those two lines intersect. I'm gonna say that's 53 3/16 to the short point of a 45. Let's go cut it. Square an end to my trim. Hook on down here, 53 3/16. And the orientation is like that, 45 degrees. Test fit this, and I can actually push this down a little bit to make it level, perfectly level, like that. And then if I look up there, that looks good. So I am gonna nail this with a 15 gauge nailer in here, and that's a little risky because I wouldn't be surprised if a nail pops out this way because there is not much to grab here. But I have shot it with an 18 before, this particular trim, and it just doesn't hold. So I'm gonna try this. Cross my fingers and hope that it doesn't shoot out here. If it does, I know how to fix it. Slight angle. Did I get it? Got it. Good. And then I'll just work my way up, putting the trim on that line. And last one. And now I'll measure short point to short point. About this here. 32 3/4. Short point. 32 3/4. I'll just make sure the length is good here. Get it nice and tight right here, and then it's a little shy, but that's okay. I'm gonna add a little wood glue here. And this piece is actually cupped a little bit. It's hard to tell, but it might give me a little trouble. But I'm gonna try and use it because I don't want to waste this stuff. Nail it here. That is not bad, actually. If I hold it like that, I'm gonna nail in here if I can. Then I'll get an 18 gauge nail, shoot down like this. Try not to hit the ceiling. Good. And then I'll do one right in the middle. On this side, I'm just gonna leave that loose so I can adjust either way. And then I'll take my measurement, 53 3/16. Square cut. I'll do the same thing down here. If I have to push it down, I can, but it doesn't need to go down. Line it up here, and then at the top, since I didn't shoot it, I can just push it just like that. That'd be perfect. Get this 45 good first. This is sticking out further, so we're gonna nail it to start and try and hammer it in a little bit. Maybe this jam will move. That's better. Yeah, this trim might be a little off. And we can nail it off. I'll use a wet paper towel to clean up this glue before it dries. Got a tiny bit of a gap on this one. Some people might say, that's not cool, man, but I'm okay with it. I'm gonna be caulking this all in and painting it. Now I can carefully pull this trim in and put some nails in it on the flat here, where I think there are studs. There may not be a stud there. I'll try right here. I hate to do this on the profile, but I gotta get into a stud. Just be careful when I do my wood filler. Window casing complete. Now we do the apron, or the piece that goes under the windowsill here. One common way of doing this is to take a piece of your window casing and flip it like this and just put it like that, which is what I'm gonna do. But the most common way to do it is to just take a measurement in between here and cut whatever that measurement is. And then that way, these will line up directly underneath this trim, but I want it to go like this. But I'm not gonna just cut a square cut like this and have end grain showing, and it's just not gonna look that great. So what I'm gonna do is called returning it to itself. So I'll take a measurement right here and to the other end like this, just at that point where it starts to round over, and those will be my long points. And I'll show you how to return trim to itself. So first cut, I'm gonna put the trim up like this and cut it at this 45. I hook on here and go to 41. And this will be the opposite 45. So our piece is going to go under the window, just like this. So now I'll show you how to cut the returns. And they're basically just a 45-degree angle on a piece like this. And then they go like this. Imagine you're doing something, say, around a corner, but that corner is actually a flat wall. So I want to cut this basically right here, straight this way, and then that will hit the wall and your piece will be returned to itself. With this one, I'm definitely going to wear safety glasses because these pieces are small and they can go flying. So first, I'll cut my 45. There's one, and then we do the opposite end. And like usual, we will test fit it. It'll go in kind of like that. Good. And we can nail this. Get it as close as it possibly can. And on the bottom here, I'll pry this trim out a little bit. There we go. A little bit right there. That's good. So I fill all that. Perfect. And then we do the same thing on this side. Now I have to prep this, prime it, paint it, and we'll have some upgraded window trim. So hopefully if you needed to do this, I explained it in a way that you could understand. Let me know how I did in the comments, and thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one. Check, 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 check. Not on a brand new heat. Did you see that video? You should go watch that video. Newly painted heat. You're next to the light switch, and I am in line with that light switch.
Beautiful.
Wow. Let's give her wallpaper. So let's give her wallpaper. So let's give her wallpaper. Ooh, that looks like shit. This is gonna take a while, Lauren. Seeing it like this now makes me want to paint the window sashes. One thing at a time though. What did I say? 41 and...
40 and a half, I think.
I think it's a 1 by, does it matter? Oh, sorry, I lied. So now I'm gonna put the sill. Okay. Bless
Sorry.
you. I totally could have held that router the other way so it didn't spray all over me. We'll flip the board. You got water? You guys get McDonald's? Donna. Oh my gosh, so awesome. Good thing this side's gonna be on the bottom. Not the best, but we can sand it. Don't show that. It looks like that's more betterer. Just call me Mr. Butterfingers. Oh, this is just for you, Lauren. I'm just explaining that to you. Who's the man? Who's the man, Lauren? Okay, fine. I guess I'm not the man. It's fine. It's pulsing. That could use more sanding. That could use more sanding, Lauren.
Hi again. You know how
Grayson! Ooh, like that. That worked out to be probably the worst possible spot. Just a piece of shit.